Hey everyone, so there are 6 DaYan 3x3's in this box, and I got them off eBay. So I normally wouldn't make an unboxing of something I got off eBay, but there is an interesting story behind this package. The person that I got these from kind of quit cubing and was sort of just selling all their stuff. This is what they started with. And they had been to one competition. And that competition was actually one that I went to. It was my 5th competition, Indiana 2012. I don't think we actually met at this competition. I certainly didn't remember his name, but he recognized me and mentioned something, which I thought was pretty interesting. So, Alright, so to start off, there are a couple of ZhanChis, and these aren't just regular ZhanChis, these are original plastic ZhanChis. This one is missing a cap, but that's no big deal. So, a couple of old plastic ZhanChis. For those that don't know, there's sort of a similar thing like they had happen with the 2x2. The switch happened late 2011, early 2012, somewhere in there. And you just can't beat the feeling of the original plastic ZhanChi. These used to be like the most sought after cube. And I can see why. This one is really nice. It's a great example of an old plastic ZhanChi. A lot of them had this sort of more tan core, but that wasn't a 100% accurate way to tell if it was old plastic or not. The switch did not seem to happen at the same time, like with the screws in the 2x2, which so far has seemed to always prove to be old plastic. So there's the black one. The white one isn't quite as nice, but it still has a much smoother feeling than most modern speed cubes. Alright, so the last ones here, these are a couple of sort of normal ones. This is a LunHui, and this one is also pretty much brand new. He did use it a little bit, but LunHui was an interesting cube. And yeah, one thing people remember about this is you could do that with all of the corners. It wouldn't function quite the same, but it would still work, and I think that's still the only 3x3 you can do that with today. And we've got a Lin Young version 2 here. Lin Young version 2 is a great cube. I made a review on this cube a long time after it was released, just I think in 2016 probably. So here we have a GuHong. This is a version 1. Yep. So there is also original plastic GuHong version 1s. Now, most of them had black screws. This does not have black screws. So, this really doesn't feel like the new plastic, though. Again, it didn't seem to be 100% accurate with the black screws, like with the core of the ZhanChi, but it was definitely much more likely to be old plastic if it had the black screws. And I'll have to do some more testing with this one. It's relatively new feeling. It doesn't feel very broken in. It's not actually a Lubix. I believe he said that he put that logo on himself. And this is a cool one. This is not a GuHong. This is in fact a new TaiYan in black. This is DaYan's first 3x3. And they're not that hard to find, but they are relatively hard to find in new condition, and that's what this one is in. I wanted to just open it and make sure that it was indeed a TaiYan. You can tell from the outside that TaiYan is a TaiYan because it doesn't have the holes like every other DaYan 3x3 has. And TaiYans used to come with black screws as well, but they didn't ever seem to change the plastic. However, they did have several different versions of TaiYan. This is the second to latest version. There were sort of 4 versions. The first one came out in several different colors. Black, blue, primary, and white, I believe. And then sort of the second upgraded edition of it, it was still just sold as a TaiYan. They never changed it to a version 2 or DaYan TaiYan 2009 or whatever. But that one came in, they made a very limited number of transparent green, and then they also had the black, white, and primary. And I believe there were, I don't know, there was the next version, which would be this one, was sort of more updated. It came with the updated logo, and they had them in black, white, gray, and primary. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the second edition had gray as well, like the same time as the transparent green ones, but I'm not sure. But then the latest version just had gray and primary. So there's your cube lesson for the day. And as far as the GuHong box goes, the TaiYan never had a box. There was never a box released with TaiYan. They came in plastic bags. And I don't know if DaYan packaged them in GuHong boxes or if just certain cube stores did, but I know it was common to get them sometimes in GuHong boxes. Alright, so before I go, I thought I'd show you the difference in the core colors. The one in the middle is the newest version that you can still get with any ZhanChi. And then that's the one that came in most of the original plastic ZhanChis. Then there are also some that are kind of in between. You can tell this one over here is a little bit lighter than this one, but it's still not nearly as light as that one in the middle. Stuff like this I find so interesting. There's so many little different changes between DaYan cubes that it's fun to try and collect as many of them as you can. And some of them, like the LunHui, kept the tan core, the same as this one, for much longer than the ZhanChi did. Because the ZhanChi switched like 2011, 2012, as you can see, it's the same core, but for whatever reason they just kept using it in the LunHui and didn't in the ZhanChi. So that's another reason it's not 100% to be able to tell if your ZhanChi is original plastic or not by the core, because some people, at least a couple of times, I know they would switch out the core between the LunHui and a ZhanChi to make it look like an original plastic, because they used to sell the original plastic ZhanChis for a very high price, over $50, sometimes close to $100, even more if people really wanted one. So that's something you got to watch out for, and make sure if you're getting a ZhanChi because it's original plastic that you're getting it from someone reputable who knows what they're talking about, which can be kind of hard to find nowadays, because most of the people that know what they're talking about aren't looking to sell original plastic ZhanChis. So just be careful, and if it's cheap enough, it's worth the risk. Even if you do get an original plastic ZhanChi, sometimes it can be hard to tell them apart because people would set them up terribly. But for the most part, if you get an original plastic ZhanChi and you have a new one to compare it to, it's very easy to tell the difference, because it's a drastic difference. Alright, I'm going to cut it off here. I've been talking way too long, but if you have any questions about DaYan 3x3's, feel free to let me know. and I'll be happy to get back to you. So that is it for today. Thank you so very much for watching. Goodbye.